Hello, everyone. So happy to be here with you in this new episode of The Impact, live from Casablanca. Today, I want to talk to you about an interesting subject, and I want to start with a little story that happened to us actually with a client a few years ago. So what happened is that we had one of our clients a couple of years ago came to us. It's a client in the food category. They came to us because they were experiencing 3 consecutive quarters of sales drop. And so they came with us with a very clear brief that they needed to do a brand equity study or to actually check, why consumers are not don't have the same perception of their brand as they used to, because they assumed that the problem was that their consumers were not perceiving the brand as they used to do before. So what we did and what we usually do with our clients is that we actually started with a session. So when we received the brief, we asked them for a call and a meeting, and what we did is that we started asking them questions, and came the time when I asked one question that changed the whole brief. So I'm not going to tell you what's the question now. We'll discuss. I'll talk about it later on in the live. But what I wanted to first, before we get into the question, is the why we need to ask this question and why it is important to actually sit with the client and dig further in the need before we get into a proposal or we get into a methodology. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Siham Malek. I have over 20 years of experience supporting brands, people, companies in growing brands by a better understanding of their consumers, their markets, and coming up with the best strategies for them to grow their brands and companies. So I'm also the founder of Integrate. Integrate is an agency with several years of market research and helping clients, answer and make the right decisions by answering and by clarifying to them, the needs of their consumers, how the market is doing, how the consumer is evolving. So let me just something I want to challenge today is usually when and this is something that happens to us, quite often, is when a client comes to us. Usually people who are managing a brand and they have a need. When they think research, they think methodology. So in many briefs we receive, clients would send to us, of course, a context, an objective, and a methodology with it. This is something we see over and over again. This is what I want to challenge today. Research is not about methodology. Research is about doing the right thing, to have the clarity that we need to make the best decisions. And, it happens to us so often than we would love to, is that a client would think directly, and sometimes we even receive briefs that don't talk about the business context. They don't talk about the research objective. They would just say, we need 4 focus groups, or we need to do a survey with 500 people who are consuming our category because we have seen a decline on our sales, and we need, we think this is the way we need to act about it. So basically, and let me tell you a little story about myself. When I was a more junior, let's say, market researcher, I was one of those hardworking, smart researchers as well. So when I would receive a brief, and I would be discussing with the client, the first thing I would do, I would be very happy, start talking methodology, because to me at that time, it used to mean that I am actually, showing the client that I am smart, showing him that I know what I'm talking about. So to me, a client would start discussing his need, and the first thing my head would be already processing: should we do focus groups? Should we go qualitative? Should we go quantitative? Oh, should I cover this region or maybe that region? Maybe I should also cover non-buyers. I would, and by the end of the discussion, I would jump into the, let's do this, let's do 4 focus groups here, let's do a survey with the 600 people, let's cover this region, maybe we can dig this subsegment. I was already on the methodology, and I was feeling that I was smart, and I thought that I was showing my clients that I knew what I was doing. So basically I was wrong. We need to take the time to listen to the real questions with the client. We shouldn't be jumping to the methodology. This is something I used to do, and I know a lot of market researchers do the same today, because we are experts in what we do. We know what methodology we should have. And I'm not saying that methodologies are important. Methodologies are very important. Rigor on methodologies is very important, but it's not the whole thing. We cannot let's say, how can I say, frame the whole study in a methodology. And it's not the same thing we should start with. So now let me go back to the question. When a client comes to us and they want us to execute a market research for them because they have a specific need, they would usually come with a brief saying that we need qualitative, we need quantitative, we need, the first question I ask is, who is buying your brand today? And you might be surprised or not, many clients don't have the right answer to this question. I think I have some comments here. Let me see if I can see them. Yeah. Yes. Okay. No, I see them on the LinkedIn, but I'm not able to see them on my StreamYard. So, okay. No, fine. Well, it's okay. It's okay. There is a little bug in the technology today, so maybe I will not be able to share the comments, but it's okay. So basically, what I was saying, that the clients come with us with a very strong brief. They're usually very smart people who thought thoroughly about their problem. They understand their business. They understand their business issue. They thought that was the best methodology. They will send it to us, and what we will do is that we will run to answer the RFP with a proposal with a methodology attached to it. But that's not the right way to do it. We need to sit with our clients, discuss what few questions, and I will discuss those questions later on. What type of questions we need to ask them, how we need to deep dive further in to understand really what is the business question, what is it they're looking for, what's the problem they're trying to solve. But before that, I do one first question, which is very important, is I ask them, who is your client? And believe me, many don't know. Some assume. Others think, they do have an expired consumer profile. Because your consumer, think of your consumer profile like it has a shelf life. It's like a product that has a shelf life. It expires. And depending on the category, depending on the market, depending on the dynamics, the shelf life might be longer or shorter. So if you are in a category where there are so many changes and consumer perceptions are changing, consumer behavior is changing, you will need to update every time your consumer profile. And this was the question I asked the client when the client that had an issue with the drop in sales. And they didn't have the right answer to me. They were very structured. They had the retail data, they had their own sales data, they have done some qualitative research, but they were not clear about the profile of their consumers, be it on socio-demographic profile, or be it in why they would consume their products, what the category, what the role of the category in their life, what are the occasions for which they buy different brands. They didn't have those information. So what we did, instead of jumping into a brand tracker, brand equity study that they were asking for, we stepped back one step and we did first an incidence study. An incidence study is a study we do among the representation of the total population, and we ask them about the categories they consume, and we check if they are consuming the category. And we can go even deeper depending on the sample size. If we go, if we are going to, for example, to know the profile by brand, we can also profile the different brands, who are the consumers of the different brands, be it social demographics, be it in which occasion they consume different brands. So basically, this is the first study we've done with them, and it showed us something totally different from what they were assuming. They were actually, they didn't do this exercise for a while, and they were targeting a totally different target market, and that the one that is consuming the category today. So they ended up with a brand strategy, a whole plan, campaigns where they're talking to the wrong people. So you can imagine all that money spent in the wrong people. So it doesn't matter how much, let's say, money you spend, what's the effort, how beautiful is your strategy, how hard you worked on it, how beautiful is your content, how beautiful are your messages. If you're talking to the wrong people, you're just doing the wrong thing. And it's the same thing for market research. If we had taken that brief as it was, we would have gone and done the study, and we would get results that would not have any meaning for the client, because we didn't ask the right people, or maybe we actually touched them, but we're not representative of them. And this is another subject we can talk about. Technically speaking, we need to be representative socio-demographically of our consumers and the population that consumes the category. But that's another subject. But just to explain here, my point is the number one thing, the basic, is we need to understand who we're talking to, who are we selling to. And believe me, I have over 20 years of experience today in market research. A lot of brands still do the same mistake. They still assume they know who they're selling to. Believe me, you won't believe the number of times when we ask our clients who we should talk to, they have no real answer for us. You believe me that you won't believe the number of incidences we've sold that they were not on the brief. We've done for our clients, they were not on the brief. Because most of clients assume, it's not because they're very smart, very structured, they have great strategies, they have done the exercise 5 years ago or 3 years ago, and market changed. As I said, and I'm going to repeat it, consider your consumer profile has a shelf life. and it expires. It expires quick or fast, or maybe in longer duration, depending on the category, depending on the country, the context, the economy, a lot of things. COVID, for example, had a big impact on consumers and consumer profiles. Today, the consumers who consume certain categories or brands, they're not the same as the ones who were used to consume it 6 years ago, before COVID. Another point I want to talk about is rigor in market research. We usually think that rigor is methodology, it is quality, it is analytics that we do with the data we have. And I'm not saying it's not, it is methodology, quality, quality of data collection, quality of our respondents, quality of the analytics, the analysis we do are very important. But one step is even more important, because all this will have no meaning if the initial phase is not that. If we haven't understood what is the real challenge of our clients. So to me, rigor means the step we do even before we send our proposals to our clients, even before we propose a methodology, even before we propose a way of doing things. That is rigor. That is how you can see if a market research agency, if you are a client, if you are a marketer, if you're a brand, how you see if a market research agency has rigor or not. It's how they treat your excuse me just a second. Yes, it's how they treat your brief before they come up with the methodology or with the presentation or with the proposal. At Integrate, we do have a very protocolized way of doing this step. And this is the first phase of our AIM framework, which is the assess. Assess is about how we treat our the briefs we receive from our clients. Today, with the team, we would never accept to send a brief, to send a proposal to a study without having a call with our clients to clarify points, different points. With recurrent clients with whom we work, of course, we know that they know the consumer profile. We have more information about their business, but still, even with those, we still have that call. We still have that call where we will ask deeper questions, where we will try to understand the real challenge. What is the real problem they are trying to solve? And what will this research solve for them? What is to them, what would be the outcome that will solve the issue for them from this research? We will definitely ask them about who is the real consumer. We will ask them about who are the decision makers about this specific subject, about this specific project. We will ask about what are the different alternatives, what are the assumptions they have today, have they checked them? That's the number one thing we do on the assess phase. Second thing we do is that before even starting writing our proposal, after the call we had with our client, we actually go and check the available data we already have at our end. We have been in market research. Myself, I've been in market research for almost now 25 years. We have a bunch of data. We have secondary report data. We have clients' data. What we do is we embed ourselves in this data before. We try to understand the context. We see what are the trends. We look at the previous research data before we come up with a proposal to our clients. I have very, very interesting comments. Now I can see them on my screen, so I'm going to share one of them. Iman, the last one that came to me, Iman saying a strong assessment is what turns a proposal from a list of actions and a budget into a relevant and impactful solution. Definitely, Iman, and I can say, and I know you do that now, and it's changing our lives. It's changing even the way we deliver. And I'm coming up to a very interesting point later on, but it's definitely, yes, a strong assessment is the number one thing for the proposal and even for the delivery. Here another comment from Dr. Hind. Wonderful, your work is tailored to every client, and this is how to make the difference in a digital world. Definitely, it is tailored to every client. We sit with every client. We don't come up with tools. You know, we're not here to sell methodologies. We are here to sell a solution for our clients, and this is what we do. Thank you. Yes, okay. So basically, what I was saying, and I will pick up on Iman's point when she said that a strong assessment is what turns a proposal from a list of actions and budgets into a relevant and impactful solution. Definitely, because it doesn't only, when we do that, you know, when we sit with the client, we understand his business issue. We assess completely his situation. We do the next step, which is looking at you know, what is available to us from the data that is already available. We come up with a proposal tailored to our client's needs, and this is what Dr. Hintz just said. And when we come up with a proposal that is tailored to our client's need, the client feels it, of course. They know they are working with experts and they trust us. And the highest benefit, let's say, we get from this is that when we deliver, we are sure we are delivering what the client expects. Let me tell you something. Do you know one of the biggest fears of a market researcher in handling a project is? It is actually when they would be presenting the data, someone comes and says, well, this is we knew, this is not what we were looking for, but you didn't check this issue, but we initially did this, but you didn't include it in the methodology. This is something that happens to us a lot. And this is what scares us before we go present a project. But believe me, when we do the assess correctly, we almost did half the work because we know we are answering the right questions. And it happened to me not long a time ago. We did a project with a client, and when we were presenting, unfortunately, the general manager, we presented to the first team, it went very well, and then they asked us to present to the general manager. And when we were presenting to the general manager, he told us, but this information we already have. Because despite the fact that we did the assessment, and I'm sorry for that, the client had issues, miscommunication issues in between them. So what the error we did is that we didn't talk to all stakeholders. We only talked to the ones that briefed us. And that is something we added in our assessment phase. We need to make sure that we at least know who are all the stakeholders of the study, and we get the information from all the stakeholders. Even if we don't talk to them directly, our contact should talk to them. You cannot imagine how bad we felt when the general manager said, but this information is already available. It is with Department X and with the whole study to get that information. Of course, we were paid because it wasn't our mistake, but that was a big lesson to us. Very big lesson. And we included that in our assess phase because we need to make sure that we talk to everyone and we get the agreements from everyone, especially the top management, before we go into doing any research, especially strategic research that will be presented to top management. I have another from YouTube this time, from Olivia. Really enjoying this, what inspired this topic. Well, basically, a lot of what inspires it is actually when I see a lot of research that is kept in the drawer, it's not used. It's not because it's not insightful, or it's not well done, or it's bad quality. It's just because it's not answering the right business questions. It's not really needed. So we shouldn't be doing market research that is not needed. A lot of people now are criticizing market research, and I hear a lot of criticize about this. But actually, when market research is done right, it solves a lot of issues. It is the backbone of any strategy. You cannot build a strategy if you don't know what your consumer wants, who is your consumer, their needs, how you need to talk to them. But unfortunately, given that, and I was like that too, many market research or many researchers or consultants will accept to do a market research without even deep diving with the client what is the real issue, will end up with a research that is not used, that is not insightful for the client, and basically put in a drawer, not even used. This is something that hurts, especially when you hear people saying, "Oh, we don't need a market research, they're just saying the same thing." No, market research is not saying the same thing if it is tailored to the right problem. I have other, yes, amazing explanation. Thank you, Anita, for this thank you for this beautiful comment. Thanks a lot. Yes, Olivia saying very clear. This content, Ariel Herrera, appreciate the efforts behind it. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you all for your comments today. I've added my live to YouTube, and I'm having people also following me in YouTube and getting comments from YouTube. So thank you for being here with me. Great insights. There's something new today. Thank you, Banter. Well, basically, what I was saying is, a good market research doesn't start with the methodology. It starts from the conversation we are having ahead of the methodology. A good market research starts when we receive the brief as a market research agency. We pick up the phone, we make that call with the client, and we deep dive, we get a deep understanding of what the real need is, what is the real issue. So the idea I want to keep you with today is never underestimate that phone call after receiving a brief. Be it you are in the client side or the agency side, always make sure that you're going to have that call, that you're going to deep dive the understanding in both sides. Sometimes even the client wouldn't think about a specific thing until we ask them. So a good researcher will do that part. As I said, at Integrate, we do have a protocol for that with templates. We do have the right questions to be asked. So we know what to ask. We know how to get the right information. So to make sure that the methodology we will propose will be a strong one, that will come up with answers for that client is looking for. And we will make sure also that the day we will be presenting our findings, the client will be smiling. They will be happy. They will have aha moments. They will see the answers to the real business questions and not nice to have slides. This brings me to the end of my live. It went very fast. I enjoyed really having you with me. I have many people joining me from YouTube, on LinkedIn as well. So many friends, people I don't know. So thank you for joining me today. Really looking forward to having you very soon. So next month, June, I would be doing another impact episode. And if you like what you're seeing, please share, comment, send it to people who may need it. And if you have a need in market research and want to work with people who know how to get to the right questions before getting the right answers, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you and see you soon.